Brian the Geek here, and today I want to, hopefully answer a question or at least theorize about one of Star Wars' biggest continuity issues. The prequels, unfortunately, as awesome as they were, did introduce some major continuity problems and issues within the Star Wars canon and kind of started the unfortunate tradition that Disney Star Wars has continued with continuity issues. But that's not what I want to focus on today. Today, I want to tackle just one of those issues, and that is, why does Leia remember her mother? How can she do that when she literally saw Padme for like 30 seconds as soon as she was born? There's no way a baby can remember that. If you remembered your own birth, that would just be traumatic as hell. I did some research online.
Impossible. Perhaps the archives are incomplete.
And I actually found some credible sources for some possible reasons why Leia would have these memories. So first, let's go over the exact dialogue that Luke and Leia exchanged in Return of the Jedi. Luke asked, "Do you remember your mother, your real mother?" And Leia replied, "Just a little bit. She died when I was very young." And Luke asked, "What do you remember?" And Leia said, "Just images, really. Feelings. She was very beautiful, kind, but sad." And then Luke goes on to reveal that he has no memory of his mother. So that's the exact dialogue that was said, and that's important in kind of sorting through these answers to understand what was actually spoken in Return of the Jedi and how this can be kind of reconciled within canon. Because of course the issue is that Padme died in Revenge of the Sith. So a common but incorrect explanation for this is that Leia is talking about her mother on Alderaan. But because Luke asks about your real mother, this really throws it out the window, because obviously he knows that she was adopted by Bail and his wife, and he didn't want to know about that mother. It was established that her mother was alive up until Alderaan was destroyed. So that really brings the question, how could Leia remember? The Revenge of the Sith novel, published in 2005 by Patricia C. Reed, gives us some insight. I don't know if it's still technically canon since it came out before the Disney takeover, but I don't see any real reason why it wouldn't be, since it is a novelization of Revenge of the Sith, which is canon. The novel describes Luke and Leia's birth and describes Leia looking around almost as if she's really like soaking in all the scenes as soon as she's born, like really soaking it in more than an average baby. And kind of the theory behind that is that because she's force sensitive, maybe her force powers are much more to do with like being an empath and sensing and feeling and experiencing the world in a greater way, more than, lifting rocks and using the force to influence minds and things like that. Almost like she's just more connected with the world and with nature. So that's, one possibility, one theory out there of why maybe Leia could remember is, the Force allowed her to experience things beyond what a normal baby would. And so she had kind of some images, some memories of what Padme looked like, and that Padme, was very kind and saying, stuff to Obi-Wan, that like, there's still good in Anakin, which, would be her kindness, but her sadness that she was dying from. So that's one possibility. And the reason that Luke might not remember, if that was the case, if that is kind of the explanation, is that even though that like Padme held him, is that he may not have had that force power. He may have had kind of the more traditional force abilities that we associate with a Jedi. This is a little bit of a difficult theory to know for sure, because especially in kind of the new canon with the sequel trilogy, Leia was never properly trained as a Jedi, and we don't really know that much about what her force powers and her abilities were. So it's difficult to know if, this has any plausible potential in current canon, in the current timeline, or not. The other possible theory, it really rests with some teachings of Yoda that he imparted to Luke on Dagobah. He said, "Through the Force, things you will see, other places, the future, the past, old friends long gone." So it's possible that Leia's memories were actually visions from the Force that she had as a child of Padme, kind of like almost seeing Padme when she was still alive at some point, and that a young Leia's mind, who didn't really understand that she was open to the Force, could have experienced these visions and thought that they were, suppressed memories of Padme that were coming back to her. and she may have kind of forgotten that Padme died so quick after her birth, and she may just have had these little flashes from the Force. Personally, in my own headcanon, I think that one makes more sense, specifically since we don't really know, exactly what the extent of Leia's powers were, but that she may have, makes sense that she'd experience a little bit of the Force and not really know what was going on as a kid, since she was not raised as a Jedi, or anybody was even really looking for her to be a Jedi. Now, obviously we're never really going to know for sure unless at some point George gives an interview and says, this is what it is, or if Disney decides to make their own explanation of this is what it is. But for now, those are our two best theories. Obviously, the real world answer is that George kind of made some issues when he made the prequel trilogy, but it's fun to look for these, how can we make this make sense? It's fun to explore this, so hope that you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you've got other questions, continuity issues, or things that you'd like me to research and explore. So I will catch you all in the next video. Subscribe.